Hello, my name's Dashe Moonbeam, and I will be featuring at the Dallas Slam. Yeah. Alright, ask me a question.
Where are you from?
I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, specifically the 78723 area, which is northeast Austin, which is slowly being gentrified by fixed gear, bike riding, hipsters, and people that don't care about the history of East Austin.
How did you get your name?
The name Dashe Moonbeam comes in two parts. The Dashe portion is my earned name. I was given that name by my mother right before she passed, in the year of her passing, for reasons I can only assume were because of a video game that I used to play at the time called Secret of Mana. And there was a spell casting elemental character called Shade. For the last, I guess, few months of her life, she would not call me anything. She wouldn't call me Jeff, Jeffrey, JW, anything that I was called at the time. She would only call me Dashe. The Moonbeam is a little less extravagant. I was working at Planned Parenthood in the late 90s. This goes back to when email was relatively new. I had to set up an email account, and Dashade, or DASHADE, at Hotmail was taken. So my supervisor was like, you know, what do you want to put at the end of it? And I was like, I don't know, Moonbeam. And I got booked to feature at Ebony Sun, I believe. I sent all of my bio information via that email, and then the next thing I know, I'm on a flyer as Dashe Moonbeam.
How would you describe your poetry for someone if they have never seen or heard you before?
Thought-provoking. I like bringing people to a subject and leaving them there. I'm a bridge builder. That's how I write. I like bringing people to a subject that they probably wouldn't think I have a wealth of information about or even thinking about. And I like, leaving them there and letting them deal with what it is I'm presenting. I don't try to force the issue. Like I said, I present the bridge, and you choose to walk across it. If you choose to walk across it, then be prepared to deal with the subject matter when you get across the chasm.
What was your first experience with poetry? What poems or poets do you remember most?
My first experience with poetry came at a very young age, probably around the age of 7. That seems to be a magical number for me. A lot of things were happening. We were staying in East Austin at Mason Manor apartments. So if you're from out of town and don't have the twang down, Mason Manor apartments, in a very violent project in Austin, Texas. Still is. I needed to write in order to have an outlet. That outlet provided me with tools to vent as opposed to committing acts of violence at a very young age. Was it Shakespeare? No. Was it Nietzsche? No. It was very, very elementary. But what it did was provide me with sort of a vessel to empty out into. Writers. It's funny, I don't really read a lot of poetry, never have. I draw my inspiration from places that come from the heart, the core, and martial arts films, and cinema, the fight, and fighting a good fight. So Bruce Lee, yes. Sun Tzu, yes. Malcolm, or El Hajj Malik Shabazz, yes. Martin, the King, Martin Luther. Yeah.
Who or what influences your poetry?
The struggle influences my poetry. The struggle of the human being trying to simply be as full of love as possible. And everything that seems to come, I guess, crumbling down when things don't go right or as planned. I'm not a political poet. I don't know a lot about politics. It's funny because as a teenager I knew a whole lot about politics. As I get older, I'm realizing that politics don't really play as big a part in my day to day. In the grander scheme of things, they do, but as far as reach out and touch someone, it doesn't. And yeah. Hopefully I answered that. Okay.
You did. What was the first poem you ever wrote? How did you feel about it?
The first poem I ever wrote, I wrote after I got a ass whooping. Yeah, and I don't feel too much about it because I don't remember what I wrote. I just know that I wrote something. I think I answered that earlier, but yeah.
And what made you first realize you wanted to pursue poetry?
I first realized I wanted to pursue poetry after the meeting of my mentor, big brother, Zell Miller III. And this, again, was shortly after my mother's passing. I didn't consider anything that I wrote poetry at the time. And he opened my eyes up and helped me realize that poetry is ultimately expression in an artistic form. And it doesn't necessarily always lend itself to the word or speech. It can be movement, it can be dance, it can be martial as far as war is concerned, art of preservation, so to speak. So yeah, I would say that I was about 14, 15 years old when I finally embraced the title of poet and started to walk down that path confidently.
How did you get involved with poetry?
I got involved with poetry actually through theater and broadcast journalism. And that was high school through meeting Zell Miller III, who is an excellent poet, playwright, director, interdisciplinary theater artist based out of Austin, Texas. He's helped a lot of people that are respected from this area in the greater slam community get up and going. Yeah, I pretty much owe anything poetry related to that man right there, Zell Miller III.
What can people expect to see at a live performance?
When you come to a live performance of mine, you can definitely expect to see something that is not necessarily the norm.
If you had to describe your poetry in 3 or 4 words, what would you call it?
If I had to describe my poetry in 3 or 4 words, it would be street nerd ninja shit.
What is most of your poetry about? What specific themes do you cover?
I'm not that type of poet. You're not gonna show up and see Dashe Moonbeam spitting a 30-minute set about being black, being political, or being on some erotic love poetry stuff. I'm all over the place. But subjects could range anywhere from love to ski masking and duct taping somebody. Metaphorically, of course.
How long have you been writing and performing poetry?
Been writing since the age of 7, and I've been performing since the age of 14.
What did you think your biggest break or greatest opportunity has been so far with poetry?
I would say that my greatest break with poetry came in the year 2000. I was trying to get on a slam team, the Austin Slam team, and my brother, Gerald Youngblood, received Grand Slam champion of Austin, Texas that year. And I believe the National Poetry Slam was in Providence, Rhode Island at the time, and I wanted to go. I slammed, didn't make the team. Gerald decided that it would be a waste if I did not go and experience that, so he bought my plane ticket, and I did like most poets did. I slept on the floor I tried to get on the team for another 2 years in 2003. Got on my first team. We went, it was in Chicago that year. First team out, got third in the nation, and also my first team, my first experience with slam poetry on a national level. I ended up being ranked number 12 in the nation. And poetry is actually taking me out of the country. I've been to Vancouver for the international poetry slam competition that was in '07, and I think I was ranked 8th or something like that. I don't remember numbers well, but I would say, yeah, definitely year 2000, my first nationals. I learned a lot. I met a lot of awesome people, networked, understood, got a experience firsthand to really experience and understand where other poets were coming from all over the country. And came to the realization that Austin is awesome and is unique to Texas. Everybody doesn't necessarily agree with us, no matter how liberal we are. There are some very conservative people out there, which is cool. You need both.
What do you feel distinguishes you from other poets?
That I'm me and they are them. And that no two human beings on this planet are alike.
What was your most embarrassing moment as an artist?
I have a lot of embarrassing moments as an artist. Yeah, that's a freaking movie in itself. I don't think any artist that can call themselves an artist or take themselves seriously as an artist has not had more than one embarrassing moment. And I can't really put one above another. But I will say stay tuned to my YouTube channel because I will speak on all of those in the coming months.
What does your family think about your poetry, and do they support you?
What does my family think about my poetry, and are they supportive? My family loves my poetry. They are very supportive, and I feel blessed. I don't use that word a lot. I feel blessed to have such an amazing family and my greater family. I don't use the word friend a lot. Like, I feel like if I've known you more than 10 years and have went through some type of struggle and we're still together, walking together through this journey we call life, then you're definitely family. So friends are, I only have a handful of friends. So very grateful for my family, my immediate family and my greater family. I'm very, very grateful for.
What do you do when you're not doing poetry?
When I'm not doing poetry, I am a cinematographer, fight choreographer for both film and stage, post-production worker, software researcher, hip-hop enthusiast, MC, rapper, experimental songwriter. Yeah, I'm Sagittarius. That's all I can really tell you about that. It's like, if I'm not doing poetry, you can trust and believe that I'm doing something else artistic or something to support the art later.
Which poem or poems do you love to perform the most, and why?
I like performing a poem that I have called Empty Pockets, not because I get to, talk crap to people, but because my day-to-day, to make the money to support my art and pay my bills, I work directly with foster care children, and we provide shelter in the nonprofit organization that I work for. And that poem is really about youth care workers, but at the time that I wrote it, I didn't know that there was a difference between a youth care worker and a social worker. But social workers deal with a whole other level of trauma, and I respect greatly what they do day to day for people to help themselves. And that's what that poem is about. And everything else, like whatever I choose to perform at the time, I feel like is necessary, but that is definitely a poem that I enjoy performing, because the field that I work in is very thankless. We don't get the handshakes, we don't get the accolades that everybody else gets. You can be a sanitation worker and find at least one news article with some type of praise on the planet, but social workers, we're kind of like youth care workers and social worker people in this system, like we're bashed because we take your money and help you, and we're bashed because the outside world thinks that we are a waste of resources. By the way, the state of Texas ranks like number 51 as far as mental health programs that actually help people with mental health issues. And we also a right to carry state. So do what you want with that. I have my gun. Hope you got yours.
Where would you like to see yourself within the next 3 to 5 years as an artist?
In the next 3 to 5 years, I see myself making full featured films. More than likely independent, but I'm open to having some Hollywood studio buy stuff. And telling my stories and telling the stories of those close to me in a way that we can only tell those stories, and capturing those stories through the art form of cinema and theater, and living completely off of my art.
What do you do to get ready for a show?
I show up and I show out. I don't have a ritual anymore. The ritual is leave everything on stage. So everything that I do for a show, I prepared for. Everything I do before a show, I prepared for when I left the stage at the previous show. I leave it all on the stage. I don't want there to be any questions about me being a great performer. I don't want there to be any questions about me presenting the content. I don't want there to be any questions about me being a human trying to be the best that he can possibly be.
You got 14 questions left.
14 questions left? Damn. Alright. Go.
Okay, ready? What is your wildest poetry story?
Tune in to my channel and I will tell you. Yes, youtube.com/ZenoPoet, or you can just go to www.dashademusic, that's DASHADEMUZIK.com.
What has been your worst nightmare for you as a poet? How did you get through it at all?
Can't answer that one, because I'm a poet, but I'm other things. I don't really retreat to the paper like that anymore. On to the next question.
If you could perform with anyone in the world, either dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I seek counsel with the living. Andre 3000, Jackie Chan, Wesley Snipes.
How do you think you would be remembered by people if something were to suddenly happen to you?
I think I'd be remembered as a person that led with love, full of love, and subscribed to nothing but love. I think love is so important that it's worth fighting for, killing for, and dying for. With that being said, hopefully, I'm not putting a timestamp on myself, but I feel like there'll be a lot of people at my funeral and a lot of freaking, tears. But I'm saying now, take me out to whatever land I own at the time, hopefully, and if I don't, just put me in a box, cremate me, and throw me somewhere and go have a party. Because wherever I'm at, I will be partying.
As an artist, is there anything special you hope to be able to accomplish?
As an artist, the only special thing that I hope I am able to accomplish is to make a connection with the person listening to me on a level that, keeps them interested in things that I'm doing and gets them inspired to act however or whatever that may mean to them.
How has your poetry evolved from the first poem to the one of your recent poems?
My poetry has evolved. I would hope like every person living, I think Muhammad Ali said it best. If you at 50 are still thinking the same way you were thinking when you were 18, then you have not lived. And I think we all grow through our experiences, and poetry changes. The things that we find important when we're a teenager, which is when I started writing, I was more concerned about being very lyrical. I wanted to make sure that every word was like you could understand and hear and grasp the metaphor, but I'd make the metaphor so complicated that, the average person would just, dismiss it. Not saying that it wasn't a good poem, but it was a whole bunch of wasted words to say something. Now, I'm by no means any less metaphorical, but the presentation is geared more towards getting to the point and not being long-winded about the subject, unless the vessel that we are containing all of the metaphors and stuff in calls for that. So if it's like an epic like the Iliad, or then I'm gonna be long-winded. But it's not. Most of the time, it's not. Still under 3 minutes. Get it all in as fast as you can, or as slow as you can, but aim and hit your mark and be true when you aim and shoot.
What do you attribute to your drive as an artist?
What do I attribute to my drive as an artist? Man, I was forged in the fire. I'm fueled by the fire. I want to create. I want to destroy. I want to rebuild. I want to keep it new, fresh, and at the same time stay rooted in some tradition, even if that tradition, actually, you know what, tradition is it's not a good word. Roots are important. How you grow, that's more important.
What do you think makes you and your type of poetry unique from other poets?
I think I answered that earlier. The only reason I am unique is because I am me. I am in this container, and this container has went through similar things that other containers have went through. How I choose to share my stories, how I choose to present myself, freaking planes and helicopters. What makes me different is how I choose to share my experiences. Outside of that, we're all human beings. We're all trying to live the best we possibly can. And I choose to express myself through many art forms. And there are millions of people that do the same. It's just I'm me and they are them.
As an artist, how would you define success?
I think the definition of success is a very personal thing. I have been successful in continuing to be able to fuel my fire and my passion to create and share my art with others. But everyone needs to evolve and grow. And yeah, I'm not gonna sit up here and say that I don't want enough money to buy myself a Bugatti based off of my art. I don't want a Bugatti, but I want to be financially successful as well as aesthetically.
If you had to think of a slogan that could leave a positive impact on everyone, what would your slogan be?
Live, love.
What projects or products do you have or that are in the works?
I'm into custom t-shirts. I'm into making cinema, web-based cinema. I'm into continuing to put out music and create music and push the boundaries of what hip-hop is considered and accepted as. Yeah, I got merch. Just buy it, and then I'll keep making it. There you go.
Do you have any video links where people can see you?
Yes. Any video links that you need, you can find at dashademusic.com. dashademusic.com.
Okay. Is there any people you would like to thank for helping you become who you are as an artist?
I would like to thank the greater Austin artistic community in all aspects. If you had a hand in helping to form me, then I thank you. Sharon Bridgeforth, thank you. Luce, thank you. Zell, thank you. Mr. Tucker, thank you. All my little sisters, thank you. All my brothers, everybody, thank you. Like, it's too many to name. I've touched a lot of people, and a lot of people have touched me.
All right, complete the following sentences. It's only 5. Without poetry, I would be
Dead.
Poetry is
A conduit.
my poetry makes me feel.
Human.
I write poetry because.
It's necessary.
Support poetry because.
Ignorance is running rampant.
Is there anything else you would like to share with our readers?
Buy my merchandise. Buy my merchandise. Buy my merchandise.
Wait.
Nah, it's fine. I did that on purpose.
The end.
Because I'm going to cut it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's it?
Okay, thank you.
That was a lot of questions.
I know. That's why I was like, I need to freaking do a video because, dang.